Before receiving the news that Felix Sterling had returned home safely, Jade Miller was at a bar, trying to drown her sorrows. In the past, when Felix was around, she rarely touched alcohol. On the rare occasions she did drink, Felix would nag her about the dangers of alcohol at least 10 times. After nagging, he would dive into the kitchen and spend hours simmering hangover soup for her. He would massage her forehead, prepare a bath, and fuss over her for ages just to make her feel a little more comfortable. But now she was getting drunk every day and he hadn't appeared. JD, stop drinking, her best friend Sarah West urged with concern. If Felix knew you were ruining yourself like this, think how heartbroken he'd be. Do it for him, stop drinking. At the mention of Felix, Jade continued to pour glass after glass into her mouth. Soz, will he really come back? It's been 6 months. Both our families have spent countless resources and manpower trying to find him. Unless someone is deliberately hiding information, otherwise. Even drunk, Jade wanted to cry when Felix was mentioned. The word dead felt like a 1,000-pound weight, crushing her until she sobbed uncontrollably. Since Felix went missing during a sea fishing trip 6 months ago, the West and Sterling families had done everything to find him. Yet despite the manpower, money, and high rewards, there wasn't a single trace of him. Over the past 6 months, almost everyone around her had accepted the worst outcome. Only Jade refused to accept it. Sarah sighed softly. Jade was right. Unless someone was hiding the news, with the amount of money both families were throwing at this, if Felix were still alive, there wouldn't be total silence. A fiancé of 7 years, missing without a trace, dead without a body, no one could accept that easily. Sarah knew her words were useless, but every time she saw her friend binge drinking, she couldn't help but try to persuade her, even if she ended up watching Jade get wasted and cry on the bar counter. A while later, Jade stood up with red eyes, insisting on going to find Felix. Sarah's heart ached watching her. Although it was late at night, she had her driver take them to the Sterling estate. JD, we're at Felix's house. The familiar villa outside the car window reminded Jade of the scenes when Felix used to bring her home. The ensuing pain threatened to swallow her whole. She took a moment to compose herself before getting out of the car. She stood for a moment to let the smell of alcohol dissipate, then walked towards the villa. Surprisingly, even at this late hour, the Sterling villa was brightly lit. She walked to the door and ran into Mrs. Sterling, who had a look of joy on her face. Both froze simultaneously. Jade spoke first. Auntie Alina, I'm sorry to disturb you. I just wanted to visit Fel's room. Whenever she felt she couldn't hold on anymore during these past 6 months, she would go stay in Felix's room for a while. It was filled with their photos and traces of their 7 years together. Mrs. Sterling's eyes flickered, avoiding her gaze. Child, tonight isn't a good time. Jade was stunned. Over the years, Felix's parents had treated her like a daughter-in-law. She could come and go as she pleased. It had never been inconvenient. Do you have guests? I'll come back tomorrow then. Mrs. Sterling nodded. I'll walk you out. Mom, who is it? Jade was about to turn around when she heard the voice. She sobered up instantly. That voice was too familiar to her. It was Felix. The worry and pain of the past 6 months surged out in an instant. She looked toward the source of the sound and ran quickly to hug him. She wanted to speak, but when she opened her mouth, she could only sob. But Felix acted as if he didn't know her, frowning deeply and pushing her away forcefully. Let go, he didn't even look at Jade as he stepped back, carefully explaining to a long-haired girl in a light-colored dress, Fifi, she came to hug me. I don't know her. The panic and urgency in the man's tone were too obvious. Jade stared at him blankly, feeling like she had been struck by lightning. That cherished attitude was exactly how he used to treat her. Fel, what are you saying? He didn't know her. Jade's face turned pale at these words, and she swayed on the verge of collapsing. Felix only glanced at her impatiently, his eyes devoid of any emotion. What are you screaming in front of my fiancé? Is Fel something you can call me? Fine, say. You said she is your fiancé? Jade couldn't believe it. The person Felix was holding was Fiona Brooks, their high school classmate, a rare scholarship student in their elite private school. But neither she nor Felix had ever been close to Fiona. Jade couldn't understand how Fiona had become Felix's fiancé. If she was Felix's fiancé, then what about her? What about the girl he had dated for 7 years and been engaged to for 6 months? She tried to steady herself and squeezed out a smile. Fel, stop joking. Tomorrow is our wedding. Can you keep me company tonight? I haven't seen you in so long. Are you hurt? I was so worried about you. Felix dodged her outstretched hand. What nonsense are you talking about? Don't touch me. Babe, I really don't know her, Felix said, hugging Fiona aggrievedly. I don't know where this person popped up from. She looks decent, so why is she talking crazy? Felix, stop it, Mrs. Sterling scolded Felix, then looked at Jade apologetically. Jade, I need to go out for a bit. Will you accompany me? Felix's face was cold as he put his arm around Fiona and turned away. Babe, let's go back. You're not in good health. Don't catch a cold at the door. The look he gave Jade was full of disgust, just like how he used to look at anyone who tried to interfere in their relationship. Now that the roles were reversed, Jade felt dazed. Fiona had a smile on her lips. It's okay, Fel. Miss Miller is our high school classmate. She liked you back then and used to follow you around. She's probably just too excited today, don't blame her. Felix's attitude softened slightly, but he was still impatient. High school classmate? No wonder I don't remember. Turns out she's an unimportant person. Babe, are you tired? I'll take you upstairs to rest. Even as they walked away, their conversation drifted clearly into Jade's ears. Mrs. Sterling frowned. That Fiona Brooks is really a troublemaker. Jade, don't worry. The only daughter-in-law I recognize is you. As long as I'm here, Fiona will never cross this threshold. Auntie Alina, what exactly happened to Fel? Jade grabbed Mrs. Sterling with a fragile expression, like a drowning person clutching a straw. Why doesn't Fel know me anymore? I'm his fiancée. Mrs. Sterling looked helpless. All I know is that after Felix had his accident 6 months ago, he was saved by Fiona Brooks. He's been living at her place for the past half-year. I'm not sure what happened during that time. The facts were so absurd that Jade was speechless for 2 seconds. Auntie, Fiona knows where Felix and I live. Mrs. Sterling fell silent. The fact that Fiona deliberately didn't contact the Sterling or Miller families was something they all understood tacitly. But no matter what, she was their son's savior. Compared to saving his life, not contacting the family was a minor issue. Jade, I know you've been wronged. Felix went to the hospital for a checkup this afternoon. The doctor said he injured his head 6 months ago and forgot some things. He can't be agitated right now, so I hope. You won't provoke him either. Forgot some things. Jade dug her nails into her palm. She had endured for 6 months, finally waiting until Felix returned safely. She thought the clouds were parting, but she never expected fate to play such a cruel joke on her. Judging by Felix's behavior just now, he had forgotten far more than some things. He had forgotten her and their 7 years together. Jade was in so much pain she could barely breathe. Her voice trembled as she asked, "Then the wedding tomorrow? Is it still happening?" The news of Felix's disappearance had been kept from the public. No one knew except their 2 families. So, the preparations for her and Felix's wedding had been proceeding as normal. Mrs. Sterling looked pained. Given Felix's current condition, I'm afraid he can't attend the wedding normally. Holding back tears, Jade murmured as if she had lost her soul, "I understand." She looked back into the villa. "I'll walk you to your car," Mrs. Sterling said. Jade pursed her lips and walked out. Several servants passed them carrying cardboard boxes. The lids weren't closed tightly. Jade accidentally glimpsed her own photo and stopped abruptly. Mrs. Sterling frowned. "Who told you to pack these?" The servant stopped. It was the young master. He said he didn't want to see these photos. Mrs. Sterling was stunned. The young master went back to his room. What else did he say? The servant subconsciously glanced at Jade. Shortly after the young master and Miss Brooks went into the room, he slammed the door and came out. "Now he's resting with Miss Brooks in the guest room," he said. Said what? Jade asked, seeing the servant hesitating because of her. "He said you are disgusting, that you knew he had a fiancé but still photoshopped these pictures to disgust him. He also said the master and madam are snobs who only care about money, helping Miss Miller scheme to trick him. He said he has amnesia, not dementia, and he won't fall for your tricks. If you want a political marriage, you do it. He is determined to marry Miss Brooks." A sudden sense of powerlessness rose in Mrs. Sterling's heart. Jade clenched her hands, barely holding herself together to avoid collapsing right there. "Trouble you to take all of these to my car." Mrs. Sterling looked apologetic. "Jade, when Felix recovers his memory, I will make sure he makes it up to you properly. No matter what he does, your Uncle Arthur and I are definitely on your side. Jade remained silent. The driver opened the rear door for her, and she got in. Miss Miller, Miss West had an emergency and left just now. She asked me to tell you she'll come find you tomorrow. Okay. Her mind was in chaos. She didn't have the energy to wonder why Sarah left in a hurry. Miss, are we going home? Jade lowered her head to unlock her phone, looking at the chat history between her and Felix. Their last conversation was 6 months ago. Felix said he was going sea fishing to catch some big fish for her. Life is unpredictable and ruthless. Who could have thought that the joy and sweetness of that time would stay frozen in that moment along with the dialogue? Jade stared blankly at the contact name Felix had once pestered her to change. Hubby. Her eyes couldn't help but sting. Tomorrow's wedding was about to be canceled, and Felix had forgotten her. This hubby looked truly piercing. Large tears dripped onto the phone screen. Jade closed her eyes. Home? Tomorrow was their 7th anniversary. She and Felix had agreed to get their marriage license in the morning and hold the wedding at noon. Originally, she should have been happily preparing for the wedding at home tonight, but now everything was gone. Walking into the living room, Jade was stopped by her brother. Did you see Felix? She paused and nodded. Ethan Miller looked at her red and swollen eyes, and with heartache, he brought 2 ice packs for her to apply to her eyes. I asked the doctor who examined him. Felix's condition is very complex. Whether he can fully recover his memory in the future, the doctor can't say for sure. Jade smiled bitterly. Ethan, you know what? I'm not afraid of him forgetting me. I'm afraid that while forgetting me, he treats another woman well. Ethan sighed slightly. What do you plan to do? Jade remained silent. Ethan couldn't bear to push her. Go upstairs and rest. Mom and Dad will be back tomorrow. When Jade's parents returned, she had just been called to the club by her best friend, Sarah. As soon as Sarah saw her, she started cursing. Felix Sterling is a piece of trash. Today was supposed to be your wedding day, but not only did he have a fit in the middle of the night and cancel the wedding, but he also organized a party for Fiona to introduce her to the circle and celebrate her birthday here. I spit on him, those 2 adulterers. If my parents hadn't stopped me, I wouldn't have just cursed at them last night. I would have found someone to beat them up. Jade swallowed the bitterness in her heart. Saz, don't blame him. Sarah was shocked. Don't blame him. Jade, are you confused from anger? Jade smiled bitterly and shook her head. He has amnesia. He forgot me. Sarah was stunned. Jade looked toward the private room. Their group had been coming to this club since they were kids. Initially, they tagged along with their parents, but as they grew older, they organized their own gatherings. The private room was filled with mutual friends of hers and Felix's. This room was a permanent spot the club reserved specifically for them. As Jade approached, she happened to hear a friend speaking up for her injustice. Fel, you found someone else. What about Jade? She dated you for 7 years, and you were about to get married. You cheated just like that. Fiona, snuggled next to Felix, changed her expression almost imperceptibly. She looked at Felix, but Felix acted as if he didn't hear, continuing to coax her to eat cake. Babe, be a good girl, have another bite. After speaking, his voice turned cold. How much money did Jade Miller give you to act along with her? 7 years? You mean she and I got together in sophomore year of high school? I started getting involved in the family business in sophomore year, busy every day. Is she a goddess? Does she have such charm that I would date her even when I was that busy? Even if I dated in sophomore year, it would have been with Fifi. What does a spoiled heiress like Jade Miller, who only knows how to spend her family's money and relies on her family's coercion for marriage, have that's worth my liking? I'm not blind. The friends looked at each other in dismay. Did you get cursed or something? You were the one who pursued Jade back then. Why do you talk like you don't know Jade? Felix, what is wrong with you? How can you treat her like this? Felix was getting impatient. Then how should I treat her? Since he came home, everyone said he should be good to Jade Miller and should marry her. Wasn't it just to stop him from causing trouble and ruining the alliance with the Miller family? For a political marriage, they didn't hesitate to fabricate such ridiculous lies. If it were true, as they said, that he and Jade had deep feelings, how could he have only forgotten her? Did they take him for a fool? No matter what they said, he would not break up with Fifi. This marriage alliance must be canceled, regardless of the past. I like Fifi now, and I will only marry Fifi in the future. I invited you here today to celebrate Fifi's birthday. If you still consider me a friend, don't mention irrelevant people again. Fiona held his hand. Fel, don't be angry, they didn't mean any harm. Felix's expression softened, and he smiled at her. I'm not angry. Babe, what else do you want to eat? I can do it myself. Your hand is injured. I'll feed you. Every word stabbed Jade's heart. Her phone kept receiving new messages, all asking why Felix canceled the wedding. She didn't know how to face it, so she simply turned off her phone. Sarah pushed open the door of the private room forcefully. She really couldn't listen anymore. Jade standing beside her silenced the room. Several friends stood up nervously. Jade, you're here. Come in quickly. Jade walked in and looked at Felix. Felix's brows furrowed with displeasure. Who called her here? On such a good day, calling her over isn't that just spoiling the mood? I called her, what about it? Sarah pulled Jade and strode towards them. Felix, you scumbag. How many times have you celebrated Jade's birthday here over the years? Now that you don't love her, you immediately bring your new fling here to celebrate. And on the very day of your wedding with Jade, are you trying to disgust Jade or disgust us? If you still consider us friends, don't bring this mistress out to nauseate people in the future. And you guys, Felix calls and you just come. Didn't you know today is Jade's wedding? The friends hurriedly explained, Heaven is our witness. We thought Fel was going to surprise Jade. That's why we came. Sarah's anger subsided a little, and she glared fiercely at Felix and Fiona. Surprise Jade. More like a shock look at him. Does he still have Jade in his heart? His heart has been completely hooked by this mistress. She called Fiona a mistress repeatedly. Felix was furious, his temple throbbing. He was about to speak when his head hurt sharply. Some blurry images flashed quickly through his mind. Even though it hurt, he protected Fiona with one hand. Jade, who anxiously wanted to go check on him, suddenly stopped in her tracks. In the past, he was this nervous about her. Now that nervousness was given to someone else. Feld, are you okay? Felix tried to deepen the memory of the images in his mind, but it was futile. Hearing Jade's words, he paused for a second, then his face turned cold. Jade Miller apologized to Fifi. Jade frowned slightly. Sarah, I said the words, yet you want Jade to apologize? Felix, are you sick? Felix looked at her grimly. You are Jade Miller's friend. Without her authorization, would you dare say these things to me? Sarah was so angry her fists clenched. Remembering his amnesia, she barely held back. The people next to them came over to mediate and pulled Sarah away. Jade stood in front of Felix. Fell. She wanted to say something, but the words reached her lips only for her to realize there was nothing she could say. No matter what she said, Felix didn't remember. Lovers who used to talk about everything had ended up with nothing to say due to a twist of fate. Felix was impatient. Are we close? Don't call me so intimately, it's disgusting. Fiona, whom he shielded behind him, lowered her head and smiled, speaking softly. Fel, don't be so fierce to Miss Miller. Miss Miller, do you remember me? We haven't seen each other since high school graduation. Luckily, I got together with Fel, otherwise I wouldn't have seen you. Jade's brow furrowed. No one present was a fool. The gloating component in Fiona's words was too obvious. Felix naturally could hear it too. Unlike the others' reactions, he suddenly laughed and affectionately put his arm around Fiona's waist. Babe, you're jealous. There's really nothing between her and me. It's all her wishful thinking. Jade kept chanting, stay calm, internally. Felix was only like this because he had amnesia, but no amount of reasoning seemed able to block the pain brought by these cold words. Fiona blushed. I am not, she looked at Jade. Miss Miller, come have a piece of cake. Fel made this birthday cake for me personally. Come taste his handiwork. Jade clenched her hands, her gaze falling on the cake. When she first walked in, she knew Felix had made this cake himself. Although he had suffered a head injury, his habits hadn't changed much. He still liked to draw little jade stones on the cake. The jade in her name symbolized a flawless gem. These little jade stones represent my unwavering love for you, babe. We will grow old together. If I ever dare to make you unhappy, babe, you just buy a truckload of jade stones and bury me. Pht, you said it yourself. If that day comes, I won't show any mercy. The words Felix said on her birthday last year were still vivid in her mind. After a second of silence, she spoke. It has indeed been a long time. Fiona, you don't look like your old self at all. On the contrary, your style, dress, hair, and makeup look very much like mine. Fiona's pupils shrank slightly. This sentence woke up the others. Sarah was disgusted, Amnesia and still playing the replacement game, speechless. Her voice wasn't quiet. Felix was unhappy after hearing it. Sarah West, if you want to leave, no one is stopping you. Jade's heart tightened. Sarah is my friend. The person who should leave is Fiona. I think you are the one who should leave the most. Felix showed no mercy at all. He had always been like this. In the past, if anyone dared to target Jade, he was the first to be unhappy and wouldn't rest until that person apologized. Everyone in the circle knew that as long as he was there, he wouldn't let Jade suffer a single grievance. But now, the person making Jade suffer grievances was him. Jade really didn't know what to do anymore. Her expression turned desolate. Fel, why won't you listen to what others are saying? If you investigated even a little, you would find that they aren't lying, and neither am I. The only person lying is Fiona, whom you are protecting. She said you and I weren't close in high school. You can go back to the school and ask the teachers who taught us. Ask them if we weren't close. We got together in sophomore year, and after that, the dean. Enough. Felix's face was clouded with uncertainty as he interrupted her. Not enough, Jade was in pain. If high school isn't enough, you can go to university and ask. We only graduated a year ago. Almost everyone at our alma mater knows. I said enough. Felix's face was livid. He tightly grabbed Fiona's hand and called the manager in. Escort Miss Miller out. Jade closed her eyes and took 2 deep breaths. Manager, escort Miss Brooks out. The manager immediately complied with Felix's order. Miss Miller, please. He was actually a bit torn. Neither Felix nor Jade were people he could afford to offend, but as an employee, he had to listen to the boss. Fel, this club was bought by you and given to me as a coming-of-age gift on my 18th birthday, Jade said softly. Have you forgotten even this? Felix was stunned. Looking at her heart-dead appearance, his heart suddenly ached a little. He even inexplicably wanted to wipe away the tears on Jade's face, but just as he raised his hand, he was pulled by Fiona. She clutched her chest, her face pale. Fel, I feel so sick. Let's go. In an instant, Felix couldn't care about anything else. He bent down to pick up Fiona and walked out quickly. Before leaving, he warned Jade Miller, if you dare to disturb Fifi and me again, I will not let you off easily. The private room door closed. Jade slumped onto the sofa. Her friends gathered around with concern. Jade stared blankly at the door, murmuring after a long while, they've been together for 6 months, right? She could tell that Felix had genuinely fallen for Fiona. He really loved someone else now. Jade got wasted in the private room. Her friends took her home. Seeing their daughter looking like a walking corpse, Mr. and Mrs. Miller and Ethan were furious. Did Felix bully you? Jade shook her head. She walked groggily to her mother and hugged her. Mom, I'm so sad. I waited 6 months, finally waiting for Felix to be safe. But why doesn't he remember me? Boo-hoo, today was our wedding, but he went to our club to celebrate another woman's birthday. Tears slid down her cheeks. Jade's parents hugged her distressingly. Sweetheart, if Felix doesn't remember you, it's his loss. There are plenty of men in the world. We don't want him anymore. Jade cried loudly. The 3 of them were flustered, trying to comfort her while handing her tissues. Jade woke up early the next morning. She recalled every move Felix made and every word he said last night, feeling so suffocated she could hardly breathe. But she had tried, and she had reminded him. Now she could only wait. Wait for him to investigate their past on his own. Or wait for him to remember her. The photo album of them together from childhood to adulthood was on the bedside table. Jade could reach it just by extending her hand. She looked through them one by one, her heart softening. This softness made her subconsciously ignore some things. For example, Felix and Fiona had been together for 6 months. They probably already had a physical relationship. For another example, the amnesiac Felix genuinely loved Fiona. This relationship, unknowingly, already had cracks. Even if he recovered his memory, could she still accept him like this? Her phone dinged. A new text message. It was from Felix. 9 a.m., meet at the cafe. The address was next to the hospital. Jade suddenly remembered the scene of Felix carrying Fiona away last night. She opened her WeChat chat with Felix and sent OK. But the message failed to send. Felix had deleted her. She was stunned for 2 seconds, then switched to the text message interface to reply. After that, she put down her phone and stared at the scenery outside the window, lost in thought. At 9 o'clock sharp, Jade arrived at the cafe. Felix sat by the window, looking at his watch, impatience faintly visible on his face. This scene was very strange. Before Felix lost his memory, no matter how long he waited for her, he would never be impatient. He would only video call her anxiously if he waited too long, worried if she had an accident, and when she arrived, he would pester her for kisses and hugs. But now, probably only Fiona could make him like that. Jade sat in the car watching this strange version of him for a good while before getting out and walking in. "Miss Miller, you're late." The icy tone made Jade feel cold all over. The address, Miss Miller, was extremely piercing. In the past, he used to call her Babe. Her hand holding her bag tightened slightly. She sat down opposite Felix, trying to look calm. "Sorry, traffic. What did you want to see me about?" Felix took out a contract and placed it in front of Jade. "Sign this." Jade frowned and looked at the paper. "You want to break off the engagement with me?" "Yes. Although the wedding is canceled, the public and friends and family still think the Sterling and Miller families will proceed with the marriage. This is unfair to Fifi." Jade felt a pain in her heart. "It's unfair to Fiona, but is it fair to me?" Impatience covered Felix's brow again. "As you can see, I have a lover, so I can absolutely not accept this kind of political marriage with no emotional foundation. Signing it is good for both you and me." Jade inexplicably felt this scene was comical, like she was a clown. 7 years of feelings had turned into a phrase, "no emotional foundation," just like that due to a twist of fate. "Fel, regarding our past, are you unwilling to even investigate it?" "Miss Miller, I already have Fifi." Jade smiled bitterly. Yes, Felix was very loyal. After getting together with her in the past, he never looked at other women. Now that he was with Fiona, he naturally wouldn't have eyes for her, whom he had completely forgot. "Okay, I'll sign." She picked up the pen and wrote her name stroke by stroke. When she wrote her name, her expression was calm and serious. Only the two of them were in the cafe. Felix watched her from across the table, feeling inexplicably uncomfortable, as if he was losing something. Before he could delve into it, the contract was handed to him. "Mr. Sterling, congratulations, you got your wish to get rid of me." Her voice trembled slightly. "If there's nothing else, I'll go first." Without waiting for Felix to speak, Jade walked away. After getting in the car, she didn't let the driver start driving. Only when Felix came out did Jade wipe away her tears. "Uncle Lee, follow him." She wanted to give herself closure for this relationship that ended without a proper conclusion. "Yes, miss." 2 luxury cars arrived at the nearby hospital one after another. Jade waited until Felix went inside before getting out of the car. She followed him from a distance to a ward. Doctors and nurses were walking around. Jade didn't get too close. After waiting for nearly 10 minutes, Felix came out holding a pink cup. She hid to the side, her heart aching. This scene was too familiar. In university, when she dragged a common cold into pneumonia to catch up on a competition project, Felix was so nervous he wouldn't leave her side for a moment, wishing he could be hospitalized in her place. He was just like now, preparing a pink cup with a straw for her so she could drink water easily. During her hospital stay, Felix handled everything she ate and drank personally. Her parents and brother couldn't even lend a hand. Sharp pains spread from the memories to the present. The Felix who loved her with all his heart back then, and the Felix who loved someone else now overlapped before Jade's eyes, disappearing around the corner together in a hurry. Even though she could guess who was in the ward, Jade wanted to see for herself. Just consider it, making herself completely give up. Fiona caught a glimpse of her through the door glass, smiled slightly, and raised her voice. "Miss Miller, please come in." Jade's footsteps, preparing to leave, paused. Fiona got out of bed and opened the ward door. "Miss Miller, are you looking for Fel? You came at a bad time. Fel went to get me some warm water." Fiona smiled. "I said I could stay thirsty for a while, but Fel said he couldn't bear it." Jade listened quietly. Fiona really looked a bit like her. From small things like hairstyle and outfits to big things like possessiveness over a lover. "I'm not looking for him." Fiona's smile faded slightly. "Then please come in anyway, let's chat." Jade walked in. Fiona closed the door tight. "Jade, are you interested in seeing the scars on my arm?" Before she could speak, Fiona pulled up her sleeve. Hideous scars covered her forearm. Jade frowned. Fiona was very satisfied with her reaction. "This is the injury I got 6 months ago to save Fel. You know, I liked Fel the first time I saw him in high school." but he only had eyes for you. I waited for you guys to break up for a full 7 years, but it never happened. How much he loved you. Loving you so much that even when he was injured and in a coma, burning up with fever, the name he called out was yours. The funniest thing is, when we first got together, he actually called me JD. Fiona had a sarcastic smile on her lips. You see, even if he forgot you, his subconscious behavior still relates to you. Last night at the club, you were right. I am indeed imitating you. From high school until now, I've imitated you for 7 years. I thought this way Fell's gaze would stop on me for one more second, but he never gave me a second glance. Bringing up the past, Fiona's face twisted with jealousy. Only when she thought of the present did she let out a laugh. So I thank the heavens so much. Thank the heavens for making Fell forget you. Otherwise, he wouldn't be with me. Jade interrupted her. What exactly do you want to say? Fiona restrained her smile. I love Fell very much, and Fell loves me very much. I hope you can be sensible and give up the engagement and leave our site. As an old classmate, I kindly advise you to face reality. The person Fell loves now is me, not you. The current you is less than a stranger in his eyes. I am his lover. You repeatedly seeking him out, destroying our relationship. How is that different from being a homewrecker? Fiona got emotional as she spoke, calming her breathing before continuing. Jade, I don't believe you can't see it. Fell genuinely loves me now. Jade used a smile to mask the pain in her heart. You're right. So she signed the contract and was ready to let go. Jade, what are you doing here? The ward door opened, and Felix came in. Fiona helped herself sit on the bed, smiling softly. Fell, you're back. Miss Miller, she? Felix looked at Jade warily, walking quickly to Fiona's side to support her. Babe, why did you get out of bed? Let me do anything you need. Lie down quickly. Fiona glanced at Jade, her eyes holding a boastful look. Miss Miller came to see me. It's impolite for me to lie down. You, always so kind. She's pushing her luck, why be polite to her? With that, Felix turned around. Jade Miller, you are not welcome here. Jade looked at him deeply. Okay. Before leaving, she looked back. I wish you happiness. The door closed, and Felix suddenly felt a tightness in his chest, an indescribable discomfort. Fiona noticed something was wrong with him and suppressed her panic, asking, Fell, what are you dazing off for? Felix snapped back to reality. Nothing, babe, drink some water. I have good news for you. Jade and I annulled the engagement. Really? Fiona hugged his waist excitedly. Fell, I'm so happy, she sobbed softly. Felix rubbed the top of her head, his heart aching. Why are you crying? Fiona held him tightly. You must have paid a huge price to annul the engagement. I feel so bad for you. Felix curled his lips, thinking she was terribly cute. As long as I can marry you, it doesn't matter what I pay. He actually hadn't paid anything. Thinking of the scene where Jade lowered her head to sign seriously, his mood was a bit complex. Babe, what did Jade come to talk to you about just now? Did she bully you? Fiona lowered her eyes. She told me to stay away from you, that you two are the real couple. She said I'm the other woman, and your parents won't agree to you marrying me. Felix frowned. Babe, I'm going out for a bit. You rest nicely. Fiona kissed him. Come back soon. Leaving the hospital, Felix went home. Mrs. Sterling was a bit surprised to see him. Felix, you didn't go to the company. No, something came up. Felix took out the contract. Mom, Jade agreed to annul the engagement. Here is the contract. Mrs. Sterling was dumbfounded. Did you force Jade to sign this, or did she sign it voluntarily? Is there a difference? He was expressionless. Regardless of how it was signed, it's signed anyway. Don't think about finding reasons to continue. I will only make Fifi my wife in this life. In a few days, I plan to propose to Fifi. Mrs. Sterling looked at her son's determined appearance and couldn't help but lament the tricks of fate. Back then, he stood before her just as firmly, saying he wanted to marry Jade. She read the contract once and sighed. This child had been conceited since childhood, only trusting himself. Once he decided on a path, 10 oxen couldn't pull him back. Recently, she had worn her lips thin talking, but he still firmly believed Jade was a marriage partner forced upon him, thinking whatever she said was fabricated. Concerned about not agitating him, Mrs. Sterling couldn't insist too much. But she didn't expect him to privately find Jade to annul the engagement. With this done, unless he recovered his memory immediately, he and Jade probably were destined to have no fate in this life. Felix, you will regret this in the future. Felix laughed listening to it. I will absolutely not regret it. When the proposal succeeds, I will bring Fifi home to formally meet you and Dad. Mom, just for the sake of my face, don't make it difficult for her. Mrs. Sterling handed the contract back to him, non-committal. 5 days from now is Jade's birthday. Even if the relationship is gone, there's no need to be enemies. Usually, our family prepares a birthday gift for Jade. This year, you go deliver the gift. Felix looked unhappy. Mom was using marrying Fifi to threaten him. Fine, he squeezed out the answer through gritted teeth. I'll prepare it well. However, with such a big event happening this year, Jade wasn't in the mood to celebrate her birthday. She had just told her family she wasn't celebrating when she received a text from Felix. She was perplexed. The engagement was clearly annulled. Why was Felix contacting her again? Did he know today was her birthday? If he knew, his heart was full of Fiona now, yet asking to meet on her birthday, this wasn't Felix's style. Jade thought about it facing her phone for 2 minutes, then rejected him. Since they decided to keep a distance, they shouldn't meet privately anymore. Because of Felix's text, her already bad mood became worse. Later, she arranged to meet Sarah, wanting to hang out at a bar for a while. On the other side, Felix was stunned seeing the rejection text. He never thought Jade would reject him. For some reason, he felt a sense of loss. As soon as this thought arose, Felix forced himself to shake it off. The person he loved was Fifi. How could he care about Jade's rejection? Just a political marriage partner with no relation anymore, why care about her? Fel, what's wrong? Fiona asked softly. Felix turned off his phone and turned to hug her. Nothing, irrelevant person. Fifi, it's a promise, you have to leave your time tonight for me. Fiona's cheeks blushed slightly. MMH, what? Felix asked you out? After chatting for a few sentences upon meeting, Sarah's face changed. He really is sick. They had been best friends for 20 years. Jade realized something. Is he going to do something tonight? Sarah looked angry. Yesterday I heard Jerry and the others say Felix is going to propose to Fiona tonight. Since he's proposing, why invite you? Does he want to propose to Fiona in front of your face? Today is your birthday. If that's really the case, he should hurry up and die. Jade was stunned, silent for a long time. Sarah cursed for 10 minutes before Jade spoke dejectedly. Saz, I want to leave here. Sarah paused slightly. Go where? Jade finished the drink in front of her and wiped away tears that had fallen unnoticed. Abroad. I don't want him anymore. Even if he recovers his memory, I don't want him anymore. Good, we don't want him anymore. Sarah hugged her with heartache. Sister, wait for me to put aside the matters at hand, and I'll go abroad with you. I'll hire a few athletic guys to accompany us. Jade was amused by her words, laughing while crying. That night, Fiona accepted Felix's proposal. The moment she cried and agreed, hugging him, Felix's expression was slightly dazed. Fel, I love you so much. It's a deal. On the day of our 7-year anniversary, we'll get our license and get married. I'm so happy. I'm going to marry you. Fel. Felix snapped back to reality, realizing he was being hugged by Fiona. His voice stopped immediately, and he responded to her hug with a smile. Fifi, I love you too. Jerry and the others frowned, secretly recording a video and sending it to the small group chat. Sister Sarah, what does Jade say? Fel is probably serious. This proposal ceremony is on par with when he proposed to Jade back then. I'm really convinced. Back in high school, when did Fel ever pay attention to Fiona? I feel like he likes Fiona now because her every move resembles Jade's. If Jade had spent time with the amnesiac Fel first for 6 months, would Fiona even stand a chance? Speaking of which, isn't Fiona's behavior fraud? I'm really afraid Fel will go crazy after recovering his memory. Sarah was drinking heavily with Jade and sneered after seeing the messages. Jade hasn't done anything wrong to him in this matter. If he wants to go crazy, let him. Missing out on Jade is Felix's loss. It's lucky he has amnesia. If he dared to do this without amnesia, watch me beat him to death. Sarah threw her phone aside and opened another bottle of wine. Jadey, we're not going home until we're drunk today. Jade raised the wine bottle and downed it. Tears and alcohol mixed on her face. She cried loudly as she drank. She swore in her heart that this was the last time she would be sad for Felix. After today, there would be no Felix Sterling in her world. That day, Jade and Sarah got wasted and were carried home by their respective families. A few days later, the news that Felix was getting married spread through the circle. The cancellation of his wedding with Jade affected not only the two of them, but also the Miller and Sterling corporations. Many people in the circle were secretly asking around and watching. Learning that the person Felix wanted to marry was the unknown Fiona Brooks, everyone was shocked without exception. Not long after, at the makeup birthday party Jade's parents held for her, Felix attended in a high-profile manner with Fiona. When Jade found out they had arrived, she was chatting with her parents and guests. Sarah rushed over to tell her the news. Beside her, Mrs. Miller's face instantly dropped. "What are they doing here? Who invited them?" Mr. Miller quickly stated his position. I didn't invite a single person from the Sterling family." Coming without an invitation, what scoundrels!" Suppressing her anger, Mrs. Miller lifted her foot to go kick them out. Jade held her back. "Mom, I'll go handle it." Mrs. Miller hesitated slightly. "Can you handle it alone?" "I can, I'll be back soon," Jade said with a smile, then pulled Sarah to find Felix. As soon as she turned around, the smile vanished from her face. Sarah was a bit unsure. "Jade, are you really okay?" Jade hummed. "I don't plan to ask them to leave. Since they're already in, kicking them out would make us look rude instead." She glanced in the direction of Felix and Fiona. The two were holding hands, surrounded by a sweet atmosphere. Seeing Jade approach, the surrounding chatter quieted down a lot. Everyone knew Jade and Felix were childhood sweethearts and a perfect match. Seeing this rare relationship myth fracture, they all wanted to see the reaction when both sides met. However, Jade didn't walk toward Felix as everyone expected. Instead, she chatted with other guests nearby. She had a smile on her face, as if she didn't put Felix and Fiona in her eyes at all. Felix's hand holding Fiona's tightened unknowingly. Fiona winced in pain, glancing imperceptibly at Jade, who was chatting and laughing not far away. She bit her lip, a little nervous. As soon as Jade appeared, Fel lost his composure. Did he remember? No, impossible. If he remembered, how could he still be with her? Fiona steadied her heart and held Felix's arm. "Fel, Miss Miller is over there. Let's go say hello." Felix, "Okay." Nothing showed on his face, but as he walked there, his gaze remained on Jade. It wasn't that Jade didn't feel Felix's gaze, but she just pretended not to notice, continuing to chat smilingly with the guests. Only when Fiona spoke up did she look over. "Jade, happy birthday. I'm really sorry. Fel and I should have wished you well on your actual birthday, but Fel was preparing the proposal ceremony that day and couldn't make time." Fiona snuggled blushingly beside Felix, the diamond ring on her finger dazzling under the light. Jade nodded calmly. "Congratulations to you both, lovers finally together." She was so calm that even the arc of her smile didn't change. An inexplicable fire rose in Felix's heart. He didn't know where this fire came from, staring gloomily at Jade, trying to find a reason but searched out nothing. His mood only became lower. After chatting for a few sentences, Fiona extended an invitation. "I don't have many friends here, but I chatted very happily with you, Jade. When Fel and I have our wedding, can you come and be my bridesmaid?" Jade's expression turned slightly cold. "Look at me, I misspoke." Fiona looked apologetic. "I accidentally forgot that you and Fel were once engaged. I'm so sorry." "Fel, Jade seems angry. I really didn't mean to. What should I do? Hurry and tell Jade not to be angry with me." Felix put his arm around her waist to comfort her softly, looking at Jade. "Fifi didn't mean it. There's no need for you to hold it against her. As for being a bridesmaid, if you have time, you can help Fifi out." Sarah watched from the side, laughing out of anger. Jade's expression turned thoroughly cold. Even if this sentence was spoken under the circumstances of his amnesia, saying it wasn't chilling would definitely be a lie. "Asking me to be her bridesmaid, is that your sincere wish?" Felix's eyes flickered. Asking a former fiancé to be the current partner's bridesmaid was indeed undignified, especially in their circle, which valued dignity greatly. But this was Fifi's wish. At worst, Jade would lose a little face, and he would give her enough compensation afterward. "Jade, I am inviting you very sincerely to be a bridesmaid. If you don't agree, forget it." Jade took a deep breath. "Felix Sterling, don't make me hate you." With that, she strode away. Sarah stepped forward. "Felix, you will definitely regret this in the future. And you, Fiona Brooks, I advise you to stop acting up. Otherwise, when Felix remembers, the first one to suffer will be you." Fiona hid in Felix's arms. Felix embraced her. "Don't be afraid, Fifi, I will never hurt you." Sarah sneered. "You said that to Jade too." "Felix, I'm waiting to see the day you regret it," Felix frowned. He said that to Jade? Impossible. Although he felt it was impossible, he couldn't help but be puzzled. "Fel, you didn't believe it, did you?" Felix suppressed the doubts in his heart and smiled gently at Fiona. "No." Jade sat in the bar's private booth. Not far away sat Felix and Fiona, embracing each other. Since the birthday party, Felix and Fiona had become high profile. Perhaps because they were wary of her, every time they organized a gathering, Fiona would text her inviting her to play together. Jade went every time, watching them stick together, listening to everyone in the circle praise Felix's doting on Fiona. At first, they were hindered by her presence. Later, seeing she didn't care, they gave Felix face and started calling Fiona sister-in-law. Jade sat in the corner every time, watching them quietly. Initially, her heart would ache. Later, she got used to it, and it was nothing. "The procedures for going abroad are complete. You can leave tomorrow." "Jade, have you really decided to settle abroad?" decided Ethan. "I haven't seen Aunt Wendy in a long time. I want to go keep her company." On the other end of the call, Ethan Miller sighed softly, not exposing her lie. "When are you coming back?" Jade looked at Felix and Fiona, who were being cheered on to kiss, and lowered her eyelashes. "I'll come back eventually." With that, she stood up. The cheering in the booth paused. Jade picked up her bag and smiled at them. "Family matters, I'm leaving first. You guys continue." Saying that, she left without looking back. Felix looked at her back, a trace of irritability crossing his heart. Jade had no mind to care about his mood. She got into the car as soon as she went out and asked the driver to take her home. Early the next morning, Mr. and Mrs. Miller and Ethan sent her to the airport. "Say hello to your Aunt Wendy for us when you see her." Jade curled her lips. "I know. Ethan, there are a few large cardboard boxes in my room. After I leave, mail them to him." Over these days, she had gradually packed up everything related to Felix in the house. Piecing it all together, it surprisingly filled 5 boxes. Now that they had separated, there was no need to keep these things. "Okay." And Jade paused for a moment. "If one day he recovers his memory, buy 2 truckloads of jade stones and send them to him for me." Ethan agreed to everything. With everything arranged, Jade breathed a sigh of relief and walked into the airport alone. People were coming and going around her, voices noisy. Yet she saw Felix at a glance. He was holding Fiona's hand tightly, looking at his phone while walking. Jade's gaze stayed for only a second before moving away. The 3 of them brushed past each other. Fiona glanced at her but didn't speak. Felix kept looking at the message he just received and didn't look up. "Bro, there's something I've thought about over and over, and I still have to tell you. Jade's flight is today, going abroad. I heard she's settling there permanently and won't be coming back." Felix unconsciously let go of Fiona and stopped walking. Fiona walked a few steps and turned back to urge him. "Fel, hurry up." "Fel, hurry up," Felix's mind inexplicably conjured another voice. The 2 voices overlapped, causing him some confusion. He turned around, looking around blankly. "Fel, hurry up. Hurry, if you're not faster we'll be late. If we miss this flight, I won't talk to you," the voice in his mind continued. He shook his head, suddenly realizing this voice belonged to Jade. Even Fiona's figure began to blur, gradually overlapping with Jade's. Felix's expression froze, then he clutched his head, which hurt like it was going to explode. "Fel, what's wrong? Don't scare me." Fiona rushed towards him in a panic. "Fel," Felix clutched his head, bowing in pain. Fiona hurriedly took him to the hospital. On the way, he fainted from the pain. At the moment they entered the hospital, Jade's flight took off. When he woke up, Jade was sitting in first class, deleting the photos of them together from her phone and tablet one by one. Memories replayed like a movie in both his and her minds. One chose to let go after watching, while the other's impression grew deeper. "I remember," Felix opened his eyes, his face pale, and pulled the needle from the back of his hand. Mrs. Sterling hurried to stop him. "You haven't recovered yet. Why are you pulling out the needle?" Felix grabbed her. "Mom, tell the driver to wait for me downstairs quickly. I need to find Jade." Joy rose in Mrs. Sterling's heart. "You remember Jade." As soon as the words fell, there was a crash at the door. Fiona stood in front of the ward door with teary eyes. At her feet was the thermos cup she had just dropped. Mrs. Sterling glanced at it and walked over. "Miss Brooks, Felix has woken up." We won't trouble you here anymore. Fiona looked at Felix crying. Fell. In a trance, Felix thought it was Jade standing there. After seeing clearly, a surge of irritability filled his heart. He had done too many unforgivable things to Jade recently, and Fiona's appearance undoubtedly reminded him of those things. You leave first, he said. Fiona cried even harder. Fell, I don't ask for anything else, I just want to take care of you. She tried to enter but was blocked by Mrs. Sterling. I'm here for Felix. Miss Brooks, you're tired too, go back and rest. Fiona insisted on staying. Rather than worrying about Felix, it was more that she didn't dare to leave. She was afraid that as soon as she left, Felix would go find Jade. If he really chased Jade back, she would have absolutely no chance. Mrs. Sterling had never liked Fiona much. She knew about Felix and Jade, yet took advantage of Felix's amnesia to interfere, and from time to time said things to make Felix misunderstand his relationship with Jade. Felix was purely lovesick. During his amnesia, the person he trusted most was Fiona. Yet Fiona used Felix's trust to do all sorts of foolish things. Each of these things made Mrs. Sterling unhappy. But right now, looking at the seemingly genuine concern on Fiona's face, her heartstrings loosened a little. Anyway, she really cared about Felix. Mrs. Sterling, please let me stay. Even standing at the door is fine. If you make me go back now, I really can't rest easy about Fell. Mrs. Sterling hesitated and looked back at Felix. Felix got out of bed irritably. If she wants to stay, let her stay. Mom, I'm going to find Jade. Fiona's expression froze. Fell, wait for me. Felix grabbed his coat and strode away. Fiona hurriedly chased after him but was still a step too slow. By the time she chased him downstairs, Felix had already left in a car. She took a taxi to follow, panic filling her heart. The driver took Felix to the Miller Corporation. Before the car even stopped completely, Felix ran down. During the time waiting for Ethan, his heart felt like it was being cut by knives. He was on pins and needles. The secretary had called Ethan, but Ethan didn't let him into the office. Felix paced back and forth in the corridor on the top floor for over an hour. When Ethan returned, he glanced at him coldly. What are you doing here? He walked into the office and Felix hurried in. As soon as the door closed, he fell to his knees with a thud. Ethan, please tell me, which country did Jade go to? Ethan frowned. Seeing this, he understood Felix had recovered his memory. The person you should kneel to is Jade. Why kneel to me? Kneeling to me is useless, I won't tell you. Felix was in extreme pain, his tall body hunched over, his handsome face bloodless. Ethan, tell me please. I can't live without Jade. Ethan went to his desk to work, not wanting to see him at all. Before Jade left, she said she has already let you go. Felix was in agony. Regret filled his heart, making him wish he could die immediately. Ethan, I had amnesia before, otherwise I would never have treated Jade like that. Give me a chance to make it up to Jade, okay? Ethan looked indifferent. The things you did to Jade and the psychological damage you caused her cannot be erased by just saying amnesia. If you still love her, stop looking for her. She finally let you go. If you find her and stir things up again, no one will have peace. With that, Ethan looked up from the documents. Jade left some things for you before she went. Since you remember, go to the house yourself and take the things away. The things are in my living room. I won't see you out. If Felix didn't leave, Ethan was afraid he wouldn't be able to stop himself from beating him up. Speaking calmly to him now was already giving face to his amnesia. Ethan, don't call me Ethan. Ethan interrupted him. The engagement between you and Jade is void. I can't accept you calling me by my first name like family. Thinking of the contract he had forced Jade to sign with cold words, Felix regretted it deeply. Ethan called the secretary. See the guest out. The secretary was shocked as soon as she opened the door. She knew Felix. He was Mr. Miller's sister's fiancé. He used to drop Mr. Miller's sister off often. Why was he kneeling in Mr. Miller's office? Wasn't the engagement with Mr. Miller's sister ruined to marry an ordinary girl? Is he regretting it? OMG, huge gossip. The secretary suppressed her excitement and walked up to Felix. Mr. Sterling, please. From an angle Felix couldn't see, the secretary silently spat on him for 2 seconds. Felix ignored her and begged Ethan. Ethan, I promise you, I will absolutely not harass Jade. I just want to apologize to her in person. Ethan didn't give an inch. I'll say it again, I don't know. "Felix Sterling, if you don't leave, I'll call security." Felix had frequent dealings with Ethan because of Jade, so he understood his temper. Hearing this, he finally stood up. The secretary quickly led the way, urging him every step. As soon as he left the office, the secretary closed the door tight. Felix hung his head, surrounded by grief, standing there motionless like a stray dog. "Mr. Sterling, the elevator is over there. Please follow me." As the only son of the Sterling family, this was the first time in his life Felix had been kicked out so miserably. But at this moment, he had no time to care about the secretary's attitude. His mind was full of where Jade had gone. However, no one answered this question for him. Felix shuffled his feet dejectedly, suddenly looking at the secretary. "Do you know where Jade went?" He actually asked the right person. The secretary really knew. She had heard a few sentences when Ethan was on the phone a few days ago. "I don't know, Mr. Sterling." Felix laughed at himself. He was really grasping at straws. How would the secretary know Jade's whereabouts? Fiona waited anxiously outside the Miller Corporation building. She had wanted to rush in but was stopped by security. They wouldn't let her in no matter what she said, so Fiona could only curse a few times in her heart. After Felix came out, Fiona rushed forward. "Fel, you're out. Did you ask about Jade's news?" Felix dodged her hand, looking up directly at her, asking with a cold face, "Why did you lie to me that Jade and I had no relationship?" Fiona put her hands behind her back, clasping them nervously. "Fel, I didn't mean to. I was just too worried about you. After saving you, I didn't manage to ask about anything else. And after you woke up, you never mentioned Jade. I thought you guys had broken up. Afraid you'd be unhappy hearing it, I didn't ask more. After coming back, I learned you had forgotten Jade, but by then we had been together for 6 months. I was afraid you'd go back to find Jade and not want me anymore, so I lied." With tears in her eyes, she looked pitiful. "I just said you and Jade weren't together in high school. I didn't say anything else. Fel, can you not blame me? I just love you too much. You were the one who pursued me first. I really thought you and Jade had broken up long ago. If I knew you were still together, I absolutely would not have agreed to you." The coldness in Felix's eyes melted a little. Looking back at the past 6 months, it was indeed as Fiona said. She didn't know he and Jade were still together. Thinking of this, he withdrew his gaze in annoyance and strode towards the car. "Don't follow me." After getting in the car, he said to the driver, "Go to Jade's house." "Yes, young master." The luxury car drove out smoothly. Fiona watched him through the window, tears falling in sadness. Felix glimpsed her like this, frowned, and closed the car window. The Sterling family driver had gone to Jade's house too many times. He knew the route by heart. When Felix arrived at the Miller home, Mr. and Mrs. Miller had already spoken with their son and had people move all the cardboard boxes from Jade's room to the living room. Seeing Felix again, neither of them had a good expression. "Jade left these for you. Move them yourself." Felix walked in front of them and knelt down with a thud. "Dad, Mom, I remember everything." He slapped himself twice. "I failed Jade." Mr. and Mrs. Miller felt complicated inside. Emotionally, Felix caused Jade so much heartbreak she went abroad. They wished Felix would disappear immediately. Rationally, everything Felix did was because of his amnesia. It was a disaster, and he was a victim too. All emotions eventually turned into a light sigh. "Take the things and go." Felix refused to leave. "Dad, Mom, will you tell me where Jade went? I can't live without Jade. Please tell me. You have no fate in this life. Let it go." Mr. Miller signaled the butler, who quickly dragged and supported Felix up. "Mr. Sterling, please." Felix's heart ached so much his palms trembled. "Dad," Mr. Miller, "since the engagement is annulled, don't call me Dad." Felix was helpless. He came in pain and left in pain. Returning home and opening those cardboard boxes, his heart hurt even more. Every item inside was a witness to his and Jade's 7-year relationship. There was the bracelet given during the first confession, necklaces and gem jewelry given on every anniversary, as well as the commemorative photo albums and couple crafts he and Jade made together. Felix organized for a whole day. When he got to the last item, he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. It was the engagement ring he had personally put on Jade 6 months ago. Now it was put back in the box, sitting quietly in the corner of the last carton like a piece of unwanted trash. Felix carefully wiped the blood off his hands, opened the ring box with trembling hands, took out the ring, and couldn't hold it back anymore, crying bitterly. Did the young master go out? Early the next morning, seeing Felix hadn't come down for breakfast, Mrs. Sterling asked the butler. The butler hesitated and answered, "The young master seems to have cried all night and hasn't come down yet." There was silence in the dining room for 2 seconds. "Where is Fiona? Miss Brooks didn't come back last night." Just then, there was movement upstairs. Felix came downstairs and walked into the dining room. His hair was messy, he was still wearing yesterday's clothes, and he reeked of alcohol. After entering the dining room, he called Mom, Dad. His voice was hoarse. "Mr. and Mrs." Sterling frowned. "How much did you drink?" Felix sat down like a walking corpse. "Not much." He drank a few mouthfuls of porridge and got up. "I'm full, enjoy your meal." The two really couldn't believe this decadent man before them was their son. It had only been one day. How did he become like this? "Mom, Dad." Felix walked a few steps, then suddenly turned back, his eyes full of hope. "Can you help me ask Jade's parents where Jade went? Her information has been protected. I can't find her flight information from that day." "Mrs. Sterling, do you remember what Mom said the day you annulled the engagement with Jade?" Stiffness flashed across Felix's eyes. "I said don't regret it," Mr. Sterling chimed in. "Given Jade and her family's character, once the engagement is annulled, you can never win her back." "Give up." Felix's hands clenched instantly. He couldn't accept the current situation. Mrs. Sterling sighed. "Your dad and I actually asked for you, but your Uncle Arthur and the others didn't reply." Felix stumbled out of the dining room and returned to his room upstairs. The room, usually cleaned and organized every day, was a mess. The floor was full of things, some left by Jade, others he had previously asked servants to throw into the storage room. He put these things together, composing the 7 years of him and Jade. As soon as Felix came in, he broke down again, hating himself immensely for going sea fishing 6 months ago, hating his heartlessness during amnesia, hating himself for treating Jade that way, hating himself for making Jade sad and disappointed. He didn't even dare to think about Jade's emotional journey before she was disappointed, didn't dare to think about how desperate and painful she must have been at that time. All of this was caused by him. The one who should go far away to a foreign country should be him. Felix unlocked his phone, and Ray added Jade on WeChat with trembling hands. He was quickly rejected. He looked at the system notification despondently, and the scene of him discovering Fiona messing with his WeChat popped into his mind. At that time, he loved Fiona and was annoyed by Jade. He wasn't displeased at all by Fiona's act of deleting Jade. Jade must have been so sad discovering she was deleted. Felix slapped himself hard twice. The sound of slaps echoed in the room, mocking his wretchedness. He found Sarah's phone number and dialed it. Sarah deliberately waited a while before answering. "Yo, isn't this the busy Mr. Sterling? Weren't you busy getting married to the mistress recently? How do you have time to call others? Isn't your mistress jealous?" Felix didn't care about her ridicule at all. "You know where Jade went, right? Tell me." Sarah sneered. "Tell you? Are you worthy?" After speaking, she realized Felix used Jade's nickname when mentioning her. This meant he recovered his memory. Her thoughts stalled for a moment, subconsciously feeling happy for Jade. Being misunderstood by Felix for so long, she could finally be vindicated. "I do know, but I won't tell you." Sarah refused flatly. Facing Felix, who recovered his memory, her attitude improved a little. "You and Jade are both my friends. We grew up together. I'm also one of the witnesses to your 7-year relationship. It's indeed a pity to miss out on 7 years of feelings like this, but no matter how pitiable, it's not as important as Jade's own choice." She looked at the circle of friends in front of her. Hearing her say this, they all had complicated moods. Sarah glanced at them and continued, "Felix, since Jade has decided to let go, stop disturbing her. That's all I have to say. Goodbye." The phone hung up and the friends spoke up one after another. Sarah interrupted them. "Don't try to persuade me. Beat me to death and I still won't tell Felix Jade's whereabouts. Put your hand on your heart and say, is telling Felix where Jade is right now good for Jade?" The group looked at each other. "No, Fel was talking about marriage with another woman. Even if he remembers Jade, he's not good enough for Jade anymore. If we let him know where Jade is, he will definitely go bother Jade, so Sister Sarah did the right thing, but..." Sarah looked over. A friend said, Isn't it not good for us to make decisions for Jade? Should we ask for Jade's opinion? Sarah thought about it and felt it made sense. She dialed Jade's number. Jade answered quickly. Saz, what's up? JD, I have something to tell you. I don't know if it's good or bad. What, Sarah? Felix recovered his memory. He asked me for your whereabouts. Should I tell him? Jade was stunned for a few seconds. She thought Felix would recover his memory one day, but she didn't expect this day to come so fast. No. After hanging up the phone, the circle of people said nothing more. Since the person involved said no, what else could they do? After being rejected by Sarah, Felix called other mutual friends of his and Jade. Without exception, everyone said they didn't know. He persevered, asking one by one until the last person. His finger rested on the dial button but didn't press down for a long time. He was a little afraid that after this call went through, the answer he got would still be, I don't know. While hesitating, the bedroom door was knocked on. Fel, can I come in? This voice was Fiona. Felix pursed his lips and didn't speak. Fel, I just want to go in and get some clothes. Since Felix returned home, Fiona had been living with him in his bedroom, and her clothes were also put in the walk-in closet built into the bedroom. Felix felt terrible thinking about these things. These were all evidence of his betrayal of Jade. Fiona stood at the door, her face very grim. She deliberately didn't come back last night, yet Felix didn't even call her. Is Jade that important? As soon as he thought of her, he didn't have her, Fiona, in his eyes anymore. Fell. Click, the door opened. Felix blocked the doorway and called 2 servants in. Take all her things away. Fiona looked sorrowful, tears sliding down her cheeks. Fel, how can you be so heartless to me? I know you love her, but what about me? When we were together, you personally said you loved me too. Doesn't all that count anymore? Felix looked at every inch of her with disgust. Yesterday, he was too miserable to care, but today he reacted. From makeup, hair, and dressing style to behavior and even tone of voice, Fiona was imitating Jade. Even if she didn't know he and Jade were still together, appearing like this was definitely a deliberate approach. As for the purpose, it was self-evident. He said viciously, Do you think I loved you? I only loved the features on you that resembled Jade. Felix looked at her coldly, like looking at an enemy. You better pray Jade and I can get back together, otherwise I won't let you off. Fiona swayed, holding the wall with tears streaming down her face, and fainted. The butler had just come upstairs. Seeing this, he quickly sent Fiona to the hospital. 2 hours later, Felix was called downstairs. He went down holding his phone. That call still hadn't been made. Mrs. Sterling looked at him with a serious expression. Fiona is pregnant. Felix looked up. What, Mr. Sterling? This child must be kept. Felix stood up. It cannot be kept. Felix, sit down and listen to Mom and Dad. No matter what you say, this child cannot be kept. Felix looked extremely ugly. There was already a rift between Jade and me. If this child is kept, it will be impossible for us to reconcile forever. Mr. and Mrs. Sterling knew what he said was reasonable, but they didn't agree. Felix grew increasingly irritable. Keep it for what? Keep it for Jade to be a stepmother. Impossible. I absolutely will not agree, Mrs. Sterling couldn't help asking, Do you really think Jade can still forgive you? Felix fell into a painful silence. Even if Jade doesn't forgive me, I absolutely cannot let Fiona give birth to my child. Mrs. Sterling frowned. Give me a reason. I don't like her. Felix enunciated each word. Because I don't like her, I won't like her child even more. This child won't get fatherly love after being born. His personality will be flawed because of this. It's better not to be born. Mr. and Mrs. Sterling were speechless hearing this. They wanted to keep this child because they wanted a grandchild. But since their son said so, let's wait. Otherwise, with such parents, letting the child be born would be harming him. Mrs. Sterling. Okay, I'll handle it. Felix breathed a sigh of relief and returned to the bedroom. He tried his best to recall everything about Jade Miller, wanting to find a clue about her current whereabouts. Thinking from day to night, he really found a clue. He remembered Jade had an aunt who immigrated abroad before she was born. But although he knew, he had no contact, so he didn't know much deeply. Felix immediately found people who knew to ask around. At 3 a.m., he asked everyone who might know, but got no useful news. This meant someone was preventing him from knowing this matter, which further proved Jade indeed went to her aunt. Thinking of this, Felix felt relieved. He slept briefly, and continued asking around after waking up. Back and forth, he really found out. Except by this time, it was already a month later. Felix immediately had his assistant book a flight ticket. The only tickets left for the flight to Jade's aunt's country that day were in economy class. Late at night, the passengers were sleeping. Only Felix curled up unaccustomedly in the cramped seat of the economy cabin, checking the time occasionally, completely sleepless. 11 hours later, the plane landed. He hurried off. His phone rang right on time. Felix picked it up. "Mr. Sterling, the hotel information and Miss Miller's aunt's home address have been sent to your WeChat. The local driver has also been arranged properly and will pick you up at the airport on time." Felix hummed and hung up. Glancing at the license plate number, he couldn't wait to look at the address of Jade's aunt's home. He opened the map app to search and found it took an hour's drive from the airport. His mood became increasingly anxious. After meeting the driver, Felix slept for a while in the car. Because he had things on his mind, he didn't sleep peacefully and woke up halfway. The driver synced the current location to him. Felix was stunned, followed by extreme nervousness he had never felt before. In another 20 minutes, he would see Jade. Jade had been gone for over a month, and he had been dispirited for over a month. About to see her, Felix remembered to groom himself. He looked at the clothes he hadn't changed for a week, touched his messy hair, and smelled the alcohol scent all over him that had never dissipated due to continuous hangovers. He belatedly realized why everyone passing by him looked at him with surprise. "Go to the hotel first." Felix shook his head as soon as he said it. "No, go to the destination first." He had to admit the despicable thoughts in his heart. He deliberately wanted to see Jade in this disheveled state to gain her sympathy to the greatest extent. Having been together for more than 10 years, he knew Jade best. His Jade was kind and friendly and most soft-hearted. But this time, Felix was going to miscalculate. The driver dropped him off next to the villa. Felix got out and walked over. Taking several deep breaths, he stepped forward to ring the doorbell. 2 minutes later, someone came to open the door. It was Jade. The two stood at the door looking at each other. 2 seconds later, Jade broke the undertow first. "Mr. Sterling, my aunt is at home, so I won't invite you in. If you have something to say it here." Her tone was very calm, as if she wasn't rippled in the slightest by his arrival. Felix couldn't help feeling a little lost. The prepared speech also stopped at his lips because of her calmness. Jade didn't expect that seeing Felix again, she would be this calm. She originally thought she would have a lot to say to Felix after he recovered his memory, but unexpectedly, when this day really came, she had nothing she wanted to say. Thinking about it, they had already broken up. What else was there to say? "Mr. Sterling, if you have nothing else, I'm going back inside." "Don't," Felix was anxious. "Babe, I'm sorry, I did too many bastard things to you. After losing my memory, I know. You left the country because you were completely disappointed in me. So, I don't expect you to forgive me immediately. I just want to beg you to give me a chance to atone, okay? I've missed you like crazy this past month. I repent every day, wishing I could rush back to that time and beat myself to death. Babe, scold me, or hit me, don't be silent. Please don't be silent, please." Felix looked at her with sorrow, tears shimmering in his eyes. After a long time, Jade sighed softly. "Why do you bother? Felix, for you and me, parting on good terms is the best outcome." Felix hugged her in despair. "I can't do it. I can't break up with you." "Babe, I love you." Warm tears fell on her shoulder. Jade's heartbeat faltered for a moment. The man she had liked for over a decade, who had protected and pampered her for 7 years, was hugging her and crying so wretchedly. It was impossible for Jade's heart to be completely unmoved. It was just that the landing point of this ripple was on a broken mirror, so it was destined not to expand. "Felix, you should know better than I do that we can't go back." Her eyes couldn't tolerate any sand. Insisting on standing by his side when Felix brought Fiona back was already the biggest concession she made because of the cause of his amnesia. She had retreated once, she couldn't retreat again. She couldn't convince herself to continue a relationship where another woman had existed. Jade pushed him away. "I thought a lot after going abroad. In this relationship, neither you nor I were wrong. We just weren't meant to be." When he had amnesia, Felix treated her as a mistress relying on family power to destroy his relationship with Fiona. One side was a lover, the other was a mistress. If it were her, she would also stand unconditionally on Fiona's side. On this point, Felix did nothing wrong. The only wrong was that he lost his memory. Knowing that you would stand on my side after recovering your memory is enough, so you don't need to blame yourself. It's good that you came. Consider it drawing a complete period for our 7-year relationship. Felix's heart hurt so much he opened his mouth several times but couldn't make a sound. Jade, time will wash everything away. Congratulations on recovering your memory, and I wish you happiness in the future. Auntie is still waiting for me to eat. I'm going back. The villa door slowly closed in his eyes. Felix lost almost all his strength, letting big tears fall, weeping silently. Jade, who was it? Jade trotted into the dining room. A friend from back home. We finished chatting. Wendy Knight was a bit surprised. Her gaze swept towards the living room window, hesitated for a moment, and asked, "Is it Felix?" "It's him." Wendy Knight frowned slightly. She had heard the reason why her niece suddenly went abroad from her sister. Under those circumstances, Felix actually chased her here. He recovered his memory, just in time. Jade smiled. Maybe because my leaving the country stimulated him. Her phone rang a few times in succession. She clicked on the text message sent by a strange number. Glancing at the content, she knew the owner of the number. "Jade Miller, sharing some good news with you. I'm pregnant. The child is 2 months old. Fel was very happy after knowing. He said when the child is born, he wants you to be the godmother." Jade's silence could almost break the phone. Would Felix say such things? Impossible. "Let's talk when the child can actually be born." After replying to the text, Jade blocked the number. Wendy Knight was afraid she missed home, so she specially made dumplings. Other family members were out on business. Only the two of them were in the dining room, which made talking convenient. "Jade, what did Felix want with you?" "Begging for reconciliation." Wendy laughed, listening. "He made you suffer such a big grievance, yet he still has the face to come find you." Jade didn't speak. She mixed the vinegar sauce for dipping dumplings and put it on the dining table. Wendy put food in her bowl. "Let's not talk about him, it's annoying. After eating, Auntie will take you shopping." It was 3 hours later when they went out shopping. At 3 p.m., Felix was still kneeling at the door, lost in soul. Jade frowned. "Auntie, just drive around him." "Okay." Wendy intended to do just that. They had broken up. Talking to Felix again was a waste of her niece's time. Felix watched the sedan drive past him. His gaze touched Jade's cold side profile, his expression becoming even more sorrowful. A call from a friend back home came in. He picked it up without saying a word. "Fel, did you see Jade? Is Jade willing to forgive you? I heard Fiona went abroad too. You better watch her. Don't let her go to Jade's place to cause trouble." Felix finally spoke. "What is she doing here?" "Looking for you, obviously." "Brother, let me remind you, Fiona isn't a kind person. Before she left the country, she told half the circle about her pregnancy. Right now, even if my mom meets your parents, she has to say congratulations. With this fuss, even if Jade can forgive you, Uncle Arthur, Aunt Alina, and Ethan probably won't relent." Felix's face was ashen. "Thanks." He hung up the phone, veins popping on his hands, wishing he could go back to 6 months ago and die rather than let Fiona save him. It was also at this time that he saw a WeChat message sent by his parents 2 hours ago. The abortion didn't happen. Fiona ran away. Felix had never despised Fiona as much as he did now. In the past, he only thought Fiona imitating Jade was scheming and bad-hearted. Now he added another point, feeling she was pestering and ignorant of the times. Thinking about how he loved her for 6 months and broke Jade's heart for her, Felix felt disgusted. A few hours later, night fell. Looking at the pitch-black villa in front of him, Felix propped up his numb and painful legs to stand up. The driver drove the car over. "Mr. Sterling, back to the hotel?" Felix nodded. 2 cars met head-on. Wendy immediately stepped on the gas to pass, parking the car at the door. "He can really kneel. It's dark and he's still guarding. He'll have to come tomorrow, too." Jade knew Felix too well. He was stubborn. He would never give up easily on things he decided. Wendy marveled. Waking up in the middle of the night, she guessed Felix could last 3 days at most. 3 days passed in a flash. On the 4th day, Wendy went out and ran into Felix kneeling at the door again. She was startled, thinking her niece really predicted correctly. "It's been so many days, still kneeling? Are the knees not ruined?" Thinking so, Wendy still ignored his existence and went out without looking sideways. Jade stood by the living room window, looking at Felix. He knelt straight. Even though his face was pale and his knees were shaking with pain, his eyes were unusually stubborn, as if declaring that as long as she didn't forgive, he would kneel forever. Jade was a little annoyed. Approaching noon, she finally showed her face and walked up to Felix. Felix's eyes were full of hope. Jade's words poured a basin of cold water on him. Must you wear away the last shred of affection between the Miller and Sterling families? Babe. Felix, we have broken up, Jade interrupted him. Please call me by my full name. Felix opened his mouth. Before words could come out, tears gushed out first. Jade looked indifferent, unmoved. If you want to kneel, then kneel. With that, she got into a car that had just stopped not far away. Seeing a strange man open the door for her, Felix hurriedly got up and rushed over, but stumbled a few steps due to knee pain and fell to the ground. Jade looked back, then continued to get into the car, chatting and laughing with the man. As the car drove away, Felix clenched his fist and punched the ground hard. Fiona, who had just arrived, screamed and rushed towards him. Fel, what happened to you? Get up quickly, where is Jade? She just watched you and did nothing. Felix pushed her away. Who asked you to come? His tone was fierce. Fiona had arrived in the early hours a few days ago. That same day, Felix sternly ordered her not to appear in front of Jade. She had stayed in the hotel these days. Felix thought she was behaving, just breathing a sigh of relief. Fiona stood aside aggrievedly. Fel, I was just worried about you. I don't need your worry. Felix called the driver. Send her away. I won't recognize this child. Either you go back to the country and abort it, and the Sterling family will give you compensation, or you give birth to it, but no one in the Sterling family will recognize him. He and you don't even think about entering the Sterling family in this life. Fiona's expression changed slightly. Put away your pitiful look. Don't appear in front of me using Jade's hairstyle and dressing style. Get lost. On the luxury car, driving at a steady speed, Julian Knight looked at the surveillance at the door and raised his eyebrows slightly. Jady, your ex-boyfriend is quite devoted. Look at these words. Even I'm almost moved. Jade was helpless. Cousin Jules, stop being sarcastic. Fine, ha. Julian took a handful of candy from his pocket. Grabbed at my friend's wedding. Here, to wash away the bad luck your ex-boyfriend brought these days. He returned to the country last week to attend a friend's wedding and just came back today. Jade took a piece. Have Aunt Wendy and Uncle gone to the restaurant? They went. Isn't that why they arranged for me to take you out to eat, saving you from seeing Felix again when you come back? It's a mood killer. It is quite a mood killer. I made my words clear, but he still insists on his own ideas. Causing trouble for Auntie and Uncle. If he continues to kneel, I can only move. Julian thought for a moment. I'm going to Australia for a post in a few days. Will you come with me? Let's leave quietly. He won't be able to find out. Jade thought for a moment and felt it was okay. Okay. That night when she went back, she packed her luggage. The next day, she discussed it with Wendy and moved to Julian's apartment first. Felix watched with his own eyes as Julian carried her suitcase into the car and the vehicle sped away. He was dizzy with jealousy, but no matter how dizzy, he couldn't change Jade's decision. When Jade got in the car, Felix wanted to rush over to stop her. He hadn't met Julian and thought he was a rival in love, so his steps were particularly urgent, limping, looking somewhat pitiful. But Jade didn't look back. Felix immediately asked the driver guarding nearby to drive the car over. Follow that car, quick. After driving for a while, Jade glanced at the rearview mirror. Cousin Felix is following. Julian didn't care. Let him follow. He can't follow into the house anyway. 10 minutes later, Jade and Julian walked into his apartment together. Felix wanted to go in but was firmly blocked by security. He clenched his teeth, eyes red, shouting Jade's name over and over. Julian was annoyed listening to it and called the police directly. The police came quickly and forcibly took Felix away. He was detained for a few days. When he came out, he learned that Jade had moved away. He asked around everywhere, but abroad wasn't like back home. He had no connections or power here, returning empty-handed every time. Just like this, 3 months passed. Mr. and Mrs. Sterling came abroad personally to drag Felix back. The reason they took Felix back to the country was that something happened. Fiona had a miscarriage. Felix frowned. She didn't get an abortion. In Mrs. Sterling's view, these words were a bit too cold. For the past 3 months, Fiona had stayed in the Sterling house acting humble. Mrs. Sterling got along with her day and night, and her impression of her improved a little. That was your child. You don't feel anything at all? Felix nodded coldly. I only admit Jade's child as my child. I told her long ago I wouldn't recognize her child. It's good that it's gone, saved from suffering out here. Mom, do you have anything else? If not, I'm leaving. Mrs. Sterling slapped him. Look at what you look like now. Felix's head tilted from the slap, his face full of deathly stillness. It doesn't matter what I look like. Jade can't see me anyway. Mrs. Sterling took a deep breath. If Jade doesn't come back for a day, you plan to look for her for a day? Yes. If she doesn't come back for a day, I look for a day. If she doesn't come back for a year, I look for a year. Mrs. Sterling was so angry her head hurt. Get out. Felix walked out of the villa and ran into the butler coming to find him. Young master, someone sent 2 truckloads of jade stones outside, saying you need to sign for them personally. Felix stopped in his tracks. Jade stones? These little jade stones represent my unwavering love for you, babe. We will grow old together. If I ever dare to make you unhappy, babe, you just buy a truckload of jade stones and bury me. You said it yourself. If that day comes, I won't show any mercy. The conversation he had with Jade when celebrating her birthday that year suddenly jumped out of his memory. Felix stood stunned, his heart twisted like a knife. The next second, he ran out. Grabbing the driver, he asked urgently, "Who asked you to send this? Was it Jade? Did she return to the country?" The driver was just a delivery man and didn't understand what he was saying. The butler reacted and quickly went to comfort Felix's emotions. Only when the driver took out the delivery note did Felix know who this person was. It wasn't Jade. It was Ethan. The hope that had just appeared was shattered like this. Felix signed his name on the receipt groggily. The driver unloaded the goods in the villa yard. 2 full trucks of jade stones quickly piled up into a small mountain. Felix stood at the foot of the mountain, looking at them, thoughts floating and sinking in his mind, finally turning into 2 lines of clear tears. Mrs. Sterling heard Felix's painful crying as soon as she went out. She sighed, worried to death. She called the driver and got into the car. Go to the Miller house. Before Felix's accident, she used to go to the Miller house every few days to sit. Now, after many months, it was her first time visiting. Mr. and Mrs. Miller didn't welcome the Sterling family. Hearing the butler say Mrs. Sterling had arrived, they told him to say they weren't home. Hearing this, Mrs. Sterling felt a bit embarrassed. She knew very well they were home, they just didn't want to see her. For her son, Mrs. Sterling insisted to the butler, "Tell old Lynn I have something important to say to them." The butler nodded and returned to the villa. Mrs. Sterling stood at the villa gate, stared at by 2 security guards. A strong wind blew, blowing up a patch of bleakness. After waiting for more than 10 minutes, the butler came out to receive her. Mrs. Sterling sighed, entered the door, saw Mr. and Mrs. Miller, and didn't waste words. She directly took out a contract. Old Lynn, old Jai, let's make a deal. Mr. Miller raised his eyebrows. What deal? 2% of Sterling Group shares in exchange for Jade's whereabouts. After speaking, Mrs. Sterling pushed the contract to them. Mr. and Mrs. Miller looked at each other. After exchanging glances, they pushed the contract back. We are all parents. I think you can understand our choice. Parents love their children, so they plan far ahead for them. Jade is living very well and happily now. Irrelevant people shouldn't affect her mood. Mrs. Sterling gritted her teeth. 3% shares. Old Lynn, old Jai, just consider it pitying Felix. For Jade, this child doesn't look human all day now, crying every day. You watched him grow up too. Do you have the heart to watch him become a ruined person? Mrs. Miller couldn't help sneering. Why didn't you say anything when Jade was crying for Felix? How come our Jade can cry, but your Felix can't? Everyone is a treasure at home. Who is cheaper than whom? Butler, see the guest out. She felt much more comfortable after saying this string of words. Mrs. Sterling blushed with shame. The Sterling family was indeed in the wrong initially in this matter. The butler came to invite her out. Mrs. Sterling was too embarrassed to raise the stakes again and left with the contract. When she left the Miller villa, Felix went to the Miller Corporation building. Ethan was annoyed seeing him. He wanted to close the door directly, but Felix squeezed in through the crack. Ethan, I'll leave after saying one sentence. Ethan asked the secretary to go out, then looked at Felix leisurely. Speak, what is it? Those 2 truckloads of jade stones, did Jade ask you to send them? Ethan sneered. Nonsense. Originally wanted to give them to you the day Jade went abroad. Who knew you went into a coma? As soon as you woke up, you went abroad to pester Jade. I'm curious, though. You haven't found Jade yet. How could you bear to return to the country? Felix pursed his lips. He didn't want to say he was escorted back by his parents because of Fiona's miscarriage. Who knew Ethan had investigated clearly long ago? Asking this was deliberately shaming him. Embarrassed to say. Isn't it just that your new love had a miscarriage? You can do things like having a child while looking for an old love, yet your skin is still this thin? Felix couldn't speak. Although he had told Fiona to abort the child long ago, if not for this accident, the child probably would have been born. On this matter, he was indeed in the wrong. Ethan, do you know where Jade is? Ethan, give up. I won't let you disturb my sister. Without you, she's happier than you can imagine. Felix clenched his fists tightly, hurting so much he couldn't breathe. Is Jade happy now? Ethan, no one brings a new love to disgust her anymore. Can she not be happy? He heard Julian mention that Felix misunderstood the relationship between him and Jade. Thinking of this, he deliberately said, My new brother-in-law is obedient to Jade, 100 times, 1,000 times better than you. Felix thought of the man walking with Jade abroad, mad with jealousy. I was also obedient to Jade, Ethan interrupted him. You also spoke coldly to Jade and broke her heart. Felix stood despondently, like a walking corpse without a soul. Ethan watched for a few times and sighed. To be honest, for the things you did after losing your memory, it wouldn't be excessive for me to hate you for a lifetime. But amnesia was also an unexpected disaster for you. With so many years of feelings between you and my sister, if not for amnesia, you absolutely wouldn't have let her be sad for a second. So I kindly advise you. Give up. There is no possibility for you and Jade in this life. Felix's eyes were red, full of unwillingness. Ethan waited a while, then asked his secretary to escort him out. After Felix dragged his feet away, Ethan received a video call from overseas. Jade's smiling face appeared on the screen, and he smiled along with her. Brother, what are you doing? What else, being a corporate slave at work? Ethan glanced at the background behind her. Where did you go to play? Cousin isn't there? Cousin is a corporate slave just like you. He went to work, ha. Jade turned the camera to show him the scenery in front of her. Pretty, right? Let's come play with Mom and Dad another day. The air here is great. Ethan, no problem. We'll go for Chinese New Year this year. For Chinese New Year, Mom, Dad, and I will go to Australia to find you. Jade agreed with a smile. She didn't plan to return to the country recently. First, she wanted to relax. Second, she was afraid of being entangled by Felix again, kneeling in front of her house for days. She heard from Sarah that Felix had just been escorted back to the country because Fiona had a miscarriage. It seemed Fiona had penetrated the Sterling family's inner circle. Unfortunately, only the Sterling family liked her. It didn't serve much purpose. Now that the child was gone, she could forget about marrying Felix even more. When Felix had amnesia, Fiona provoked her overtly and covertly many times. If Fiona wasn't doing well, Jade was happy. After chatting for a while longer, the siblings ended the call. Mrs. Sterling returned home in the evening and bumped into the panicked butler. Her heart lifted. What's wrong? Why the panic? Seeing her was like seeing a straw to clutch at, the butler said quickly. The young master went out for a bit, and after coming back, he insisted we bury him. Please go check quickly. Mrs. Sterling was shocked and hurriedly called the servants to go over together. Upon arrival, she saw Felix buried in the 2 truckloads of small jade stones, only his head exposed outside. Mrs. Sterling was almost silly with anger. Felix Sterling, are you crazy? He's crazy, are you guys crazy too? He said bury him, so you buried him? Save him, quick, the butler quickly picked up a shovel. They dug Felix out the same way they buried him. After a chaotic flurry, Felix was sent to the hospital. After a full body checkup, Mrs. Sterling forcefully demanded he go to the psychology department for consultation. In the early morning, Mrs. Sterling and Felix returned home. Mr. Sterling was waiting for them in the living room. Seeing his son, who had no spirit on his face, he tried his best to hold back his anger for fear of provoking him. It's late, go upstairs and sleep. Only after he went upstairs did Mrs. Sterling speak. If I knew Jade was this important to him, I would have stopped him from being with Fiona no matter what back then. What's the use of saying that now? What did the psychiatrist say? Mrs. Sterling was worried to the point of tears. Depression. Unless his heart knot can be untied, the condition will continue to worsen. Mr. Sterling sighed heavily. If worse comes to worst, I'll risk this old face and go to the Miller family to apologize. Mrs. Sterling shook her head. It's useless. She dejectedly recounted her experience going to the Miller family today. I offered Sterling shares for Jade's address, and they wouldn't trade. Mrs. Sterling's eyes filled with tears. Felix was indeed a bit cruel to Jade back then. We should have stopped him. That way, even if they separated, it wouldn't have become like this. Nothing worked. Only treatment remained. So starting the next day, Mr. and Mrs. Sterling began looking for psychiatrists for Felix. A few days later, they invited a psychiatrist to the house to treat Felix, but Felix wouldn't cooperate. No matter what they said, he wouldn't show his face. He locked himself in the bedroom, looking at the bed full of gifts Jade returned, pondering her mindset at that time, weeping bitterly. That was Jade, his babe. He treated her like a treasure, never willing to let her suffer a trace of grievance, yet the biggest grievance was given to her by him. Felix cried while slapping himself hard several times. When he showed his face again, his cheeks were already slightly swollen. But it had to be said, Felix had a good appearance. Even with slightly swollen cheeks, he didn't look wretched. Instead, he had a tragic beauty. He had used such a good-looking appearance to win Jade over back then. Although he didn't cooperate, Mr. and Mrs. Sterling still insisted on having the psychiatrist report to the house every day. The psychiatrist lived up to expectations and finally pried open Felix's mouth a month later. His willingness to communicate was a good start. The doctor breathed a sigh of relief, but later discovered he sighed too early. Jade didn't return to the country for 2 years, and the psychiatrist treated Felix for 2 years, yet still hadn't completely cured his heartache. Over these 2 years, even though Felix gradually pulled himself together and looked no different from a normal person, in the dead of night, he often woke up crying. During the day, he went to the group to work expressionlessly. At night, he went to the bar to get wasted, then was carried into the car by the driver and sent home. Just like this, cycling back and forth, causing heartache to Mr. and Mrs. Sterling, who took him for a physical examination every 6 months. On the day Jade returned to the country, he had just come out of the hospital, ready to go to work at the group. The driver waited for him at the hospital entrance. Seeing him come out, he hurriedly opened the car door. Felix walked over and bent down. Then his whole body froze. He slowly straightened up, his hands trembling as he held the car door, looking at the hospital entrance. "Young master, what are you looking at?" Felix didn't speak. His hands holding the car door exerted force unconsciously, so hard his knuckles turned white, his face bloodless. The driver was startled. Putting on his glasses to look carefully, his heart was suddenly alarmed. "Miss Miller, beside her is." He fell silent as he spoke. No wonder the young master reacted so strongly. Julian Knight supported Jade's arm as they walked out of the hospital, his face helpless. "What should I say about you? It's not that I don't let you save people, but disregarding your own safety to save people is too impulsive. Luckily that car braked in time, otherwise you wouldn't just have a sprained ankle." Jade nodded quickly, putting her palms together to beg for mercy. Yes, cousin is right. I absolutely won't be impulsive in the future. Just be kind and stop nagging me." Julian was amused by her expression. "Fine, won't nag you anymore. Get in the car." The Miller family driver got out to open the door. The two got in one after another. Felix squeezed out a sentence with a stiff expression. "Follow them." The driver dared not delay and hurriedly followed. Halfway there, they were discovered by the Miller family driver ahead. "Miss, Master Julian, we're being followed." Jade looked back, her brow stunned. After a few seconds, she withdrew her gaze. "It's okay, ignore it." Julian looked at her. "Know them?" "Yeah, Felix's license plate." Julian raised his eyebrows. "He's quite devoted, still staring at you after 2 years. What about you to him?" Jade shrugged. "I let go long ago." Julian nodded smilingly. "Letting go is good. To be honest, several of my buddies have begged me no less than 20 times to introduce them to you. They are all elites, good family background, good personality, and cherish their lives. They absolutely won't go sea fishing. Jade laughed hearing this. Being so good, better not introduce them to me. I still want to be single for a few more years. Haven't played enough? Nope. Then they'll have to wait. Jade, before the car stopped steadily in front of the Miller villa, Mr. and Mrs. Miller trotted over. Jade got out quickly. Dad, Mom, brother. They actually met often, Mr. and Mrs. Miller flew abroad when they missed her. But them going abroad and Jade coming home represented different meanings. Mom and Dad cooked personally to prepare a welcome feast for you. Julian, Auntie also made your favorite dishes. The family walked into the villa happily and harmoniously. Felix sat in the car not far away, trembling all over. The driver dared not make a sound, staying in the car for more than 10 hours straight. In the early morning, Felix stared closely at Jade's room, watching it fill with light, then watching the light go out. That man stayed overnight tonight. Felix's eyes were red. To this day, he truly understood that there was really no possibility for him and Jade. But he still wanted to try, even if he was called a homewrecker. He accepted it. Jade discovered Felix after waking up in the morning. After waking up, she routinely opened the curtains to look into the distance, and then saw the Sterling family car. This car was the same one as last night. She frowned. Had Felix been guarding there since last night? Jade Miller, I know you're back. Fell is mine. I warn you, stay away from him. Receiving such a text message early in the morning was really a mood killer. Jade dialed the number. Fiona over there was startled. After recovering, she picked it up with her head held high. Jade Miller? Fiona Brooks, are you sick? Jade cursed as soon as she opened her mouth. If you have nothing to do, go pick up trash on the street. Send some crazy spam texts again, and I will definitely sue you until you have no face to see people. Fiona was furious. However, without Felix backing her up now, she dared not find trouble with Jade directly. She could only stammer, not knowing what she was saying. Jade interrupted her impatiently. Shut up. Aren't you looking for Felix? Felix is at my door. With that, she hung up and blocked the number smoothly. Fiona over there was angry to death. Thinking of Felix, she immediately wanted to go find him. But thinking of the burly bodyguards Felix hired specifically to guard against her over the past 2 years, she dared not move. They really would get physical. She was beaten scared. Fiona bit her lip, eyes welling with extreme unwillingness, wishing she could strangle Jade right now. She didn't feel she was worse than Jade. If she had met Felix first, she was confident she could make Felix fall in love with her, but reality couldn't develop as she thought. No matter how unwilling she was, she dared not do anything, nor could she do anything. She was just a poor ghost, having no guts to oppose the wealthy Miller family, let alone the ability to hurt Jade. The many bodyguards and relatives around her weren't vegetarians. In this sunrise morning, Fiona could only use rotten curses to insult Jade alone in the bedroom with closed curtains. These didn't hurt Jade at all. Jade went downstairs to eat as usual. After the meal, she went to the company with Ethan, preparing to return to work. Julian wanted to go downtown to find a friend, so he shared a car with them. When the two cars brushed past, Felix saw Julian through the window. Instantly clenching his fists, he opened the door and rushed down, blocking the Miller family car. The driver quickly stepped on the brakes. Felix seized the gap when no one reacted, rushed to the passenger seat, and pulled Julian down. Julian? He was just worrying about not having a chance to teach the scumbag who broke his cousin's heart a lesson. He immediately fought with Felix. Jade and Ethan, who got off later, looked at each other, seeing helplessness and speechlessness in each other's eyes. This mutual brawl ended with Jade's sentence, "He is my cousin." After it ended, Julian even punched Felix unilaterally a few times. Ignoring the pain, Felix ran to Jade. "Jade, say it again, okay?" Jade stepped back calmly. "What do you want to hear? That he is my cousin?" Because of her retreat, sadness flowed from Felix's eyes. Jade continued, "Felix, I didn't expect you to persist for so long. It's been more than 2 years, you should give up. Look forward, don't keep your eyes on me." Felix looked at her painfully. "How can I give up? Jade, I love you. I liked you since I was 15. I've loved you for so many years. How can I give up? Without you, I won't be able to live." Jade's face didn't have a ripple, very calm. "Without me, there are others. Do you plan not to contact other girls for a lifetime, not to marry for a lifetime?" "Yes, that is exactly my plan." Jade shook her head, feeling she couldn't make him understand. "Ethan, let's go." The group returned to the car. Felix didn't block the car again, but he asked the driver to drive and follow. Seeing their car drive into the underground parking lot of the Miller Corporation building, Felix asked the driver to turn around. He went to a nearby flower shop and bought a lot of yellow roses. When Jade followed Ethan to learn about company affairs all morning and prepared to go home for lunch, she found that colleagues in the company were discussing one thing. Mr. Sterling of the Sterling Group put a lot of yellow roses downstairs and was waiting for someone. She sighed, didn't wait for Ethan, and went downstairs alone. Walking out of the building, she saw the patch of yellow roses and Felix standing in front. Jade paused for a second before walking over. A circle of people watching the excitement surrounded them. Seeing the heroine arrive, they immediately started cheering. Jade pretended not to hear, stopping in front of Felix. "Felix, can you stop being childish? It is absolutely impossible for us to reconcile. You know this better than anyone. It's been so long, let yourself go." With a thud, the bouquet in Felix's hand fell to the ground. He looked at Jade with a pale face, full of despair. "Is it really impossible?" Jade answered very crisply. "Impossible." She met Felix's gaze calmly. Felix tried to see even a little bit of wavering in her eyes, but eventually became more desperate. He refused to accept it, bowing his head, getting into the car with a desolate back. Jade watched the Sterling family car drive away, her mood complex. She thought she wouldn't see Felix again today. Unexpectedly, she saw him again at night. This time it was at a bar. Sarah invited her out to play. As soon as the two entered the bar, they were told that the booth they booked was occupied. Sarah wasn't very happy. "Isn't that booth booked by us all year round?" The manager was a bit troubled. "I told that guest the booth was booked by you, Miss West, but he insisted on sitting there, and the money he gave was really too much." Sarah laughed angrily. "Take me there. I want to see what kind of guest knows it's my, Sarah West's, booth, but insists on throwing money to grab it." The manager hurried to lead the way. Before going over, Jade had a guess. After going over, the guess came true. Sure enough, it was Felix. He sat there, pouring alcohol into his mouth glass after glass. Seeing it was him, Sarah rolled her eyes and looked at Jade. "Jade, what to do?" Jade pursed her lips. During the time Felix had amnesia, she also went to the bar every day to get drunk, just sitting there. 2 years later, same location, the person getting drunk surprisingly changed from her to Felix. "Saz, let's go to a private room." "Okay." Jade didn't drink tonight. She watched Felix from upstairs, seeing him drunk unconscious, then carried away by the driver. Sarah watched with her, sneering at the scene. "Look at the driver's proficiency. Felix hasn't drunk less in the past 2 years." Jade walked away from the window. "I think he's a bit pitiful." Sarah. "Jade, pitying a man is bad luck for a lifetime." Jade's eyes curved. "What are you thinking? I won't get back together with him." "It's just that the amnesia back then was indeed an accident. He was a victim too. I resented him for these 2 years, it's enough. Felix and I have known each other since childhood. Without romance, there is friendship. Seeing him like this, I don't feel good either." Sarah relaxed. "Yes, he is indeed pitiful like this, but there's no way. I heard from Jerry that their brothers take turns persuading Felix to let go every once in a while, but it's useless. Felix is too stubborn." Jade shook her head. "If this continues, his body will collapse." The next day, she went to work with Ethan. She saw Felix at the door again. Jade was a bit surprised. He was drunk like that last night. How could he come over so early? Ethan looked at her. "Sis, what to do? Ignore him. Uncle Lee don't stop." "All right, young master." The driver not only didn't stop, but accelerated when passing Felix. Jade saw in the rearview mirror that Felix kept standing at the door. After work, she went to the company cafeteria for dinner with Ethan and heard a few gossips. Felix came again. This time he didn't bring exaggerated yellow roses, just sitting alone in the lobby on the first floor. Jade rubbed her glabella. "Ethan, I finally understand why you said falling in love is troublesome." Ethan was amused. "You realize it now." Jade put down her chopsticks and drank a sip of water. "I'll go downstairs to check." "Go ahead." Seeing her, joy flashed across Felix's eyes. He stood up. When Jade stopped in front of him, he moved a little closer carefully. "Babe, did you have lunch?" Jade frowned because of this address. To make him give up completely, she put on a cold face. "How many times do I have to say we have broken up for you to remember?" The address, babe, is no longer applicable to our current relationship. Felix's eyes reddened. He was silent for a long time, looking down at her. I know, I won't call it anymore. Jade, don't be angry. Jade, Felix, can you speak properly? If you continue like this, I'm going abroad. Don't, he hurried to stop her. After speaking, his expression was replaced by sorrow. After a few minutes, he spoke again. Can you hug me once? Jade sighed. Thinking for a few seconds, she reached out to hug him, advising at the same time, Felix, forget me. Felix's eyes filled with tears. He placed his hands carefully on her waist. When he spoke, his voice was unnatural because his throat was tight. Okay. I will try hard to forget you.